Hi, my name is Vimbai Masiyiwa. I'm co-founder and CEO of FORBES Africa, an ecotourism and luxury hospitality group. I have a lot of respect for Forbes publication.
Thank you.
And it is, such an honor to be invited to be part of the list. And for me, it's nice to see other people acknowledging my achievements and the work that I've put in.
I think when people hear your name and they hear your family's name, the automatic assumption is business. We immediately associate it with business. Can you talk to us about what inspired you to enter into business and how much your business and your family inspired that too?
Thank you. I think, as you rightly say, the name is a blessing, but it comes with a lot of pressure. So my dream was always go into business with my father. So I studied computer information systems. I used to read a lot about tech, what was happening in the tech space. And then I entered family business in the most traditional sense, which was I worked under his leadership. And for me, I loved business. I do love an Excel spreadsheet and like reading the finances, that kind of stuff. But one thing that I had to decide was family is very important to me. Am I choosing a relationship with a father or a relationship with my boss? And because I wanted to stay connected to business, I wanted to do something entrepreneurial. And my mom and I took a trip to Victoria Falls, and some of my siblings were there for the marathon. And it was the first time we'd gone on safari as adults. So we'd done it as children. And this sounds so obvious, but the stark difference between the poverty that you see when you're driving to luxury lodges and the lodge that you get to it's extremely painful to watch. And I think one of the things that made it worse was a guide said, and I don't think it was poor intention, but he said, just don't look, like we're almost there. And so when we were talking about the industry and the business, I really wanted to do something that had social impact. So it wasn't necessarily about making wild profits and like creating $1 billion empire out of it. But I thought to myself, well, I have some business acumen. I have one of the greatest mentors on the continent. Let's see what we can do in a social impact point of view. And then tourism also makes sense because it's one of the biggest GDP drivers on the continent. So if we're looking at job creation, local economic growth, I think it's a no-brainer that it's an industry to go into.
100%. And then my final question to you is that the steps and strides that you've made to being where you are today, and is what do you wish and hope for within your industry, especially as Africa is the youngest continent in the world, and especially when we look at tourism on this continent, it's booming, it's great. But what do you hope for when it comes to the future of hospitality in the African continent?
I hope for it to be a kind of a central hub for other industries. One of the things we look at, or one of the things that projects we're involved in is like textiles of women in the local community. But what does that mean for the fashion industry, the African fashion industry or homeware industry? I think for tourism and hospitality to be a catalyst for growth in other industries, and to also be a hub for training of non-traditional skills. So, we can't all be doctors and lawyers, but we can be leaders and managers in other ways, other vocational skills, and I think tourism allows for that.